The next question, I think there are two sets of questions here, and these two are antithetical to each other. The first says, what is your biggest disappointment or your biggest failure? And the second says, what is your biggest success or your greatest moment of joy? Uh, Please understand, when I ask you a question about your biggest disappointment, I want to know firstly whether you have had any disappointment or not. And we as human beings have our own fair share of failures and successes. Saying that you don't have any disappointment in your life just proves one thing, that you are not a human being. So definitely we all have our own ups and downs, and here you are expected to share some of your downs with the panelists, right? So firstly, there is nothing wrong in having failures and disappointments, please understand. So if you could not do well in your 10th standard exam or in your 12th standard exam, or you could not win the first prize in a particular competition, yes, you have every right to be disappointed with yourself. It could be your failure, right? And you should very honestly, sincerely share it with the panelists, saying that yes, there was one moment of failure, one instance of failure in which I was really very much disappointed, right? And please understand, more than the disappointment or the failure, you must focus on the lessons that you learned from it. Please understand, I am not so much interested in your disappointment or your failure as I am interested in knowing whether you learned any lesson from it or not. So this is just one indirect way of asking whether did you learn anything from your disappointment or from your failure in life. So you failed and you were disappointed, but did it teach you something? And if it did teach you something, what lessons did you learn from it? It's quite possible that as a school kid, or as a school kid or as a college boy, you might have participated in some of the competitions, right? It's quite possible you might have won the second prize, the third prize. You could not have come out as a topper, right? That could have been a disappointment, right? So please understand, disappointment is not a tragedy. People think that when it comes to disappointment, I should mention something which has been tragic. No, don't say that someone's death was a big disappointment. Say that it was a tragedy, right? So I don't ask about the trials and tribulations of life in which fate inflicts injuries on you. So disappointments basically arises from some kind of failure, and from something in which you could not stand for your own self, right? So you must focus on firstly what lessons you learned from that, and secondly whether it helped you become a stronger and a better human being. Understand, we all have our own fair share of ups and downs, right? But every up should make us humble, and every down should make us a stronger and a better human being. So, in other words, when they ask you what has been your biggest disappointment, you can say that, so not winning the first prize or losing out on this was my biggest disappointment, but I learned many lessons from that, and these are the lessons that I learned. You must give some good answers. Don't just simply say, yes, your biggest disappointment was this, full stop, that's it. You should go beyond that and try to explain and try to give more than what has been asked, right? The next question is, what has been your biggest success or your greatest moment of joy? Again, it's not necessary that your biggest success has to be at the international level or the national level. You can have your own biggest success at a very small level, right? So you can say that organizing a competition or organizing a blood donation camp was the biggest success of your life, right? You can say my biggest success was when I attempted something all on my own, and I was successful at it, right? So we all have our own definition of success and failure. Please understand. So when they say that what was your biggest success, they are not asking about your achievement. Your achievement could be at the highest level. So when you say about your achievement, it could be something at the national or state level, or in which something you have won a prize. A success, on the other hand, could be something very ordinary, something in which you secretly, or you, without the knowledge of others, you gave your best and you did well in it, right? So success has nothing to do with achievement. In your own way, you could be successful in something, right? And that could be your greatest moment of joy. So please look at the points here. It says that success or joy could be from any walk of life. Please understand, it could be academic, it could be non-academic, it could be personal, it could be social, it could be anything. You can say that I was not well for 1 month and I went and cleared all my engineering papers. That was the biggest success. Of course, when you're not well and you have been bedridden for almost 1 month, and still if you go and get 75 percentage, I think that 75 percentage is far far greater in importance that 90 percentage of a person who was healthy and fine, right? So please understand, success has something to do with. I mean, if you are going against the odds and you do well, I think that is success. But it must have a high degree of gravity to it. What is high degree of gravity? You shouldn't say that the greatest moment of success was when you reached home all on your own without your parents' help. I mean, that is not success, right? So your success must have a high degree of gravity to it. So if you were bedridden for 1 month and still you appeared for all the papers and you scored 60 percentage, I think it has a gravity to it, right? Again, instead of focusing just on the success, you must talk about the qualities, the circumstances, and people around you that became the cause of that success. Many a time, it is not we alone who play a part in our own success. There are many other people, right? Your own friends, your parents, your teachers. They might play a very important role, and I think you should share that with your panelists. You should say that I owe my success to my teachers, to my friends. Why? Because without them, I think my success would not have been a great success. So here again, you have a chance of expressing your humility, or showing it to the panelists that you are a very humble person. You give credit to others for your own success, right? So when it comes to disappointments, please don't be shy or don't refrain from sharing it. When it comes to success, doesn't matter how ordinary it might look, but if it is having a degree of gravity to it, you should go ahead and share it with people.